I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
All right, we are ready. I think we're
5, 4, 3,
three,
2.
2, 1. We're here live with James Beard, who is this breathworker extraordinaire. Yes, been practicing breathing for so many years now that it is to him second nature. And I am just starting my breathwork practice because of you, James, and how you inspire me to really go deeper into breathing for longer periods of time consciously. So, yeah, so we're launching the 1,000 breath challenge again. So
Yes.
go ahead and share. First of all, share for people who don't know you. It would be really cool to give just and I'll learn so much about you because I don't know a lot of the history of why you really wanted to explore this breath work. So just I know you can tell stories like forever. So just like in a nutshell, like a timeline of how you got to where you are now with your book. He's written 2 books,
Yeah.
So, and this is the book that we use for our teacher training. James is a main teacher who's part of our 300-hour teacher training that's coming in September. So yeah, my question to you is, what are those significant markers in your life that have brought you to this place with breathwork?
Well, I mean, okay, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to say it this way back. Shall I date myself too? Okay, back in the 80s, actually right around 1980, I had an out-of-body experience, okay? So, and that was very shocking to say the least. I had a new perspective of my bedroom from the ceiling looking down and my body being in the bed with my head sticking out from under the sheets. So that was the beginning. So then I started down the spiritual path, looking into and researching and reading and trying to find teachers and all that back in the 80s. And I ran across a lady, and I forget her name right now. She taught a metaphysical class, and she was talking about Kundalini, and I had read some about that. And she had looked right at me and said, if you release your Kundalini, you will go crazy. When she was talking to the class, but she turned right to me when she said, you will go crazy. What I didn't ask at the time was, can you define crazy? So, and I pursued the Kundalini. And through that, I was doing conscious breathing exercises in the 80s. And in the 92, I came across breathwork. And in 92, I found what I believe to be Kundalini. So not Kundalini yoga, but Kundalini hidden within the first chakra. And from there, my life up to 92 and my life after 92. And that's how I continued and stayed with the breath because it was such a powerful first experience for me as a weekend workshop. And I continued studying for myself. I tried to share with all my friends, but nobody could relate. And so the only way I could truly describe it is like, if you see hidden in that book you showed, is there's a spiral in there. And it's the cover of my other book.
Cover, yeah.
But that spiral going into that kind of flower lotusy piece there, that is how is very right brain my expression. Thank you. Yeah. but that gives you the idea. It gives you the idea of the depth. And if you follow that spiral on that particular cover, it goes right into the duality of the heart. And there are master I am. And so it's about mastering the self and what I am, whatever that may be for each individual out there listening to us right now. So that's how I got into breath work, and how I continued with it is a daily practice. And I back then in 92, 93, 94, I was doing breath work pretty consistently 3 times a day. I call it breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a sense because I did it before I ate, which I highly recommend too.
How many minutes?
It varies as it varies today. I did 1,000 breaths this morning. It took me about 1 hour and 20 minutes because I kept getting lost or whatever. I was breathing really slow today. And so, but that's that's just the way it goes. The quickest I've done 1,000 breath challenge is just a little over a half an hour, which
I
is
know. I saw the video when you came out of it. That's in our 1,000 Breath Challenge group. So just if you're tuning in right now live, we're talking about launching again the challenge, and James is sharing his history and 1,000 breaths in 30 minutes. Crazy, but I do the hour and 20 is good for me too.
yeah, it's a nice pace. It's not as intense. I like both. Um, so, anyways, that's how I got into breath work. I continued with what I learned. I tried to study with some people, but that fell apart. And to get certified by and get a little piece of paper from somebody to show, validate me.
That's a whole nother conversation. I can't wait to do a little live on that certification thing. But yes, we are certifying people. You are one of our teachers that will help certify people.
Yes, as a yoga teacher, not as a breath worker. There's a difference.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a certified yoga teacher. I'm a certified 9 breath practitioner, if you want to go there. That's out of a Qigong practice. I studied Tai Chi back, and then I studied Kung Fu. And before that, I did karate, and then I jumped the fence into yoga. Now that it's finally not weird. I was into yoga in the 80s. And it was hard to find yoga teachers, and people couldn't relate. The same thing back then was chiropractors were not recognized as valid practice yet. So it was. I'm glad times have changed and people are catching up or opening up.
Right. And so let us explore why the power of breath is like, why should people breathe? Why should people do this challenge?
Why? If you're looking to discover yourself and understand yourself, who and what you are, I highly recommend breath work. The challenge is just to me as an introductory piece to go, hey, okay, there's certain practices out there that have 100 breath practice. So it's part of their practice, part of their trainings and such, and they're part of their introduction. The 9 breath people or supreme science call it the warrior's breath, and transformational breath workers.
So yeah, you're talking about things that people don't know. So
all right, I want to mention these things that they exist. So, there's 100 breath practice is my point.
Okay.
And I kind of got bored with it, and I challenged myself. Let's see what happens if you do 1,000.
Okay.
And so I did, and I went, wow. So when I hear people say they already know how to breathe, that's one of the reasons I said, well, try and do 1,000 conscious breaths. Because they say, I breathe all the time. I said, but you're not conscious of it. And that makes the difference. And connecting the breath.
All right. So this is a great segue. I love that because at first I was really resistant to counting. And I felt, because I started with the first challenge to try to do the 1,000. And when you talk about consciously doing, I'm like, what's the point? And I get that from people like, well, what's the point of doing consciously counting? And so at the beginning of the 1,000, it was ego. I think I put that, it's all in the group too, all these videos that document the individual. Yeah. So my experience at the beginning was 1,000 and ego getting in the way to count. But that goes away. And then the body is on automatic. Do you find that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. And I also like watching the mind as you're counting, a simple practice of 1, 2, 3, up to 1,000, but how the mind operates and that it forgets what it just counted versus and how it tries to jump ahead and shortcut sometimes. It's like, oh, we can. But I'm like, hold on, let's be conscious of the counting too.
Right, like we skip a whole 10 breaths, and I'm like 65, and then like 75. Whoops.
Right. Yeah. So I find it's fun to witness the mind and how easily we can forget what we were just thinking. And when I teach meditation, I'm just going to, just a little snippet, but one of the things I teach is when you catch yourself thinking, backtrack through the thoughts to what the trigger was that took you out of the silence, that got you into the dialogue of the mind. So if you can follow your mind backwards to what the trigger was, a bird chirping outside, that went, oh, I love birds, it's in the trees, it's this, that, and all of a sudden your mind's gone off. And then you go back and go, oh, that started with the bird. Once you learn to follow the mind back where the originations to get back into silence with your intention or whatever your intention of meditation.
Right. And so there's a good question right there, because why do we want that silence? The whole point. Why do we need that silence? Or what is your because everybody has their own individual experience. So for you, I should probably say, what is the significance of that silence?
Well, one is getting myself, my little self, out of the way, so my bigger self can come through. For me, meditation is about connection, and I'm just going to use the word God. That might trigger some people because God has several different meanings, but for me, I'm not. My definition of God doesn't align with the cultural consciousness, I should say, in that sense, when I speak of it. So to connect with the omnipresence or omnipotent.
I call it source.
Yeah, source. Yeah. And that works really well. Yeah, the Star Wars Force.
The source and the force.
Force. And so when I hit certain levels of meditation or samadhi and this vibration comes on with my body, that's the essence of the meditation that I'm looking for. And that is not in a dialogue in my mind. That is a full experience throughout my body. And my mind's at peace and clear and can receive messages beyond my internal voice in that sense.
Yeah.
So,
that is the epitome of what I sense too. I feel it. It's like my whole being, physical being, gets out of the way to allow the bigger me to fill my whole cellular structure with vitality, life, well-being, things that create miracles. You sense it in your body, you get goosebumps, you feel your mouth tingling, you feel this stream of divine healing come into your body. That's what you feel. Yeah.
So what I find, getting back to now the challenge, 1,000 breaths is a great way to get in there and get a sense of what that feels like, and also the layers of the self that have been built over the years since birth and maybe prior, if you want to go there, to allow those to be seen, brought to the consciousness, and reintegrated and neutralized if there's an emotional charge there.
So I get emotional here because of my desire, my big desire for others to feel this too. Like, I don't want it just to be me.
No.
I know what it feels like. It's superb, supreme. There's no angst, doubt, worry, fear. It's all gone. And I want more and more to experience this feeling. Yeah. And so that's why we do this.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Amen, sister. That's one of the reasons I teach breath work is I'm being selfish.
Yeah.
Truly, I am. I want to help more people wake up, so more people are in alignment with this way of being, this feeling, this sensation that you're just describing.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a selfish motive on my end of teaching breath work. If I can help more people raise their vibration, I think just overall the planet will be a better place. Or my little world on this planet will be a better place. How about that?
Right. Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, it is.
Pushing against things that you don't want doesn't feel good. And what we need more of is that internal landscape on an individual level to explode and expand into connection with source. That's what will heal the planet.
Yeah.
Not marching in the front of the courthouse. So sorry.
Well, I'll go out on a limb here, but because I look as Earth as a school. This is a pit stop, not a pit stop, but it's a school for me, personally speaking. This is very personal, and I've come here to learn lessons and have experiences. Oh my God, we live what on the average, let's say 80 years, okay, give or take 30. So that is so short, and this life is such a gift. And we forget, we get so caught up in the daily struggles of paying the bills and trying to keep a roof over our head, let alone air conditioned or whatever, and all that we forget what this body, how amazing these bodies are for one, and how amazing this life is. Just the fact that the sun shines and the trees grow out of dirt and everything else, all this food. And it's just, when you step back and you look at it, and from this point of view, it's just like, oh my God, it's miraculous, or miracles are happening all the freaking time. But we've come to accept it as normal every day. Oh, and we're so out of tune to that. We're all up in our heads with what we got to do today, what needs to be done, and we've forgotten what this gift of life is. And part of my thing with breathwork is to help people remember, come back to the essence, the innocence of like a child. And that gift of being, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's very, very simple way of connecting. And I think that's what we need now. People are a bit confused, like, what do I do? How do I get to that place? And you make it so simple, James. It's just like, come on, let's count our breaths and you'll be fine.
So as you know, I've written the 13 Breaths to Freedom. So
Yes.
that literally was a maintenance program for when I hit the big, deep experiences of breath work, where I've done 1 to 3 hours of breathing and come out and I'm like, ooh, okay, that's going to take a little while to integrate what just happened, what I just let go of. Who am I now? Because I'm no longer carrying this idea I'm an angry man or whatever. And I had all this backpack that I was toting around. And
Right. So the breath work just sheds the backpack and all those beliefs, and physically it releases resistance in the body. Physically, you are like relieved of those blocks, you're saying.
Yeah. Well, the potential is there.
Mm-hmm.
Breathwork is quite capable of doing that, but it's up to the individual to allow this to move through them. There is resistance in the body. It'll show in the body in certain ways.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, let's go to like when the dates are, like what can we do and what are people supposed to do to participate in this challenge now? Direction. Give us direction.
Direction. All right. I was thinking starting July 4th.
July 4th. Okay. Sounds good.
Independence Day.
That's easy. I could do 5 minutes is 30 breaths. So we could commit. What's the first?
The first day of the breathing on the challenge for those that are new to this is to get to 50 breaths.
Okay.
50 conscious connected breaths. So you give that a go. So you get an idea. This is day 1. The videos are out there. If you want to jump ahead, just go for the 1,000. That's how I am. Just go for it. See what happens. So
not on 4th of July. Sorry.
I'm saying
partying, barbecues,
and so it's yep. Oh,
I'm sorry, decline.
Oh, that's fine. So that reminds me, mine's probably on too. Mute.
That's okay. I put it on. All right. So, all right. You got
so
this.
Starting
July 4th.
Yeah, start with 50 breaths. It's simple. Just let us know you're getting on board. Give it a try. Try the 50 breaths. 50 conscious, connected breaths. Count them, close your eyes, find a place to sit where you'll be quiet. No music background, just be with yourself and count.
Good point.
It doesn't matter how fast you breathe. how slow you breathe. Just breathe in, breathe out. The point is keeping the breaths connected. So you don't breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. Let it sigh and let it out. You want to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. So an inhale and exhale is one breath. So breathing in.
Great.
One.
All right.
So it's simple. So 50. And then we move to 100 on the second day and so forth and so on. We get to the 11th day and we're basically at 1,000. Now, the point is, it's a challenge. Doesn't mean you have to succeed getting to the 1,000 or any of that. The first 300 are going to be through the nose. So the first 4 days are breathing in and out through the nose. The second, after that 300, we relax the jaw and just breathe in and out of the mouth.
Okay.
It's going to get dry and all that, but lick your lips, do whatever you got to do. If you need water, get back to the breathing. Okay? I do this lying down. That's how I do it. So I prefer lying down. I also, every once in a while, with my particular style, I slip in my 13 breaths and do that and raise the vibration of 1,000. So if you know that practice, you can do that too. If you know other breathing practices, you can include it in here, but just count along. Work your way up to the 1,000. The 1,000 breaths, ideally, just for those, I mean, you can see it now, or if you tried, it takes you to a minimum of 45 minutes, unless you really, as I say, hustle the breath. So you can get it down to 30, but
no.
game, have fun with that. If anything happens, the phenomena of breath work is across the board, from I don't get it to, oh my God, best thing ever. And anything in between, there's a whole emotional body that might be stirred up and some things might come up for you. I recommend journaling and take that journal, keep it very private. Also, you might let some family members or people close to you that you're doing this challenge and things might
I think that's very important because
come up.
If any emotions come up, you want them to understand that you are working through some deep stuff with, it's good to get the family on board. I love that. I didn't realize that. And I actually didn't share what was going on until I made it to 800. And it was really important that I need to share with the family because there was a lot of tears for me.
There you go. So yeah, and we don't know, it could be tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of whatever. So the just to let people know, but also have your space. I recommend doing it in the same place each time. Like if you have an altar or a meditation place or something like that, doing it there. So it creates, the energy continues to build. The body goes, oh, I know what we're doing. Now, there's two things about that. One, the ego goes, oh, I know what we're doing, and it can learn to start to defend itself against this breath practice. So it's always kind of fun, and that's what I liked about the breath.
Sorry, I'm curious, what do you mean by the ego wants to defend itself against the practice?
Well, the ego likes its knowns.
Likes its what?
Knowing. It's knowings. It likes to know or thinks it knows.
Oh, right.
When it comes into the unknown, it wants to start to define it.
Okay.
It's like the little kid. What is that?
Putting a label on what's going on.
Yeah, the little kid's always asking, what is that? What is that? What's that? And he's always learning names, or she's learning names for something. It's like, oh, that's the kitty. That's the dog. That's hot.
Right.
And so the ego, once it starts slipping into the unknowns, it wants to start defining it instead of just going, hey, I don't know. And not knowing is perfectly acceptable.
Love that. Very important. Not knowing is absolutely cool. That's why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Get to that.
I like to teach. I say I teach nothing. How do I say that? I haven't said it in a while, I guess. I know nothing. I teach nothingness, and I want to take you to a place with no name.
Say that again, please.
I know nothing. I teach nothingness, and I want to take you to a place with no name.
Yeah. So that sums it up, the ego thing. Yeah. So good. Thank you. I'm glad you clarified. All right. We can chat forever. I know this. So I have to mention that the Point Loma Sports Club has picked up our training.
Yeah.
The Healing Touch Vinyasa training. And James, I know that this is such a powerful 1,000 breath challenge is so powerful that I want to require the trainees to start their training with this practice. So if you're interested in becoming 300-hour certified, and you know that you want to get on board with our training at Point Loma Sports Club in September, do a practice run with us starting on July 4th, for this challenge, right?
Yes.
It'll be a good thing.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, and then the answers will come, and you'll be, your desire to know whether you should do the training or not do the training will be answered within that,
yes.
experience.
The other thing with this particular 1,000 breath challenge is I was considering putting an intention. So when you start the breathing process, have an intention that something you want to work on. And as you said, do I want to go? Yes, I do want to go to this training.
Yeah.
But put it out there, whatever it is you might be working on yourself, or I'm just checking out this 1,000 breath challenge. But have an intention for this particular round if you've already done it. For those that might be watching or see this video later on, to have an intention this time instead of just trying to make 1,000 breaths, but set it up. Here's my intention. Simple. I love myself. And go into that with the 1,000 breath challenge with that, the essence of those words, the feeling of them as you're breathing.
Right. Excellent. Really good. Really, really good. James, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to do this again because you are fascinating. Just cool.
Thank you.
This is a long segment, so I'll probably put little markers in there for people to go to,
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So anything else? Any last nope. That's it. You're satisfied.
Yeah, well, it's just, I love everybody. So.
I love them too. Yeah. All right, we'll put all the links. Oh, your website and where they can buy your book.
Oh my! You can find my books on Amazon. 13 Breaths to Freedom, Pranayama and Breathwork. 1,000 breath. There's an actual journal that goes with it if you want to journal as you go into a book. Yeah, there's another one out there if you run across it. Find God Now. So those are all online. My website, I always do this on my website. It's just james-beard.com, and I probably should look at it again.
Right, you haven't been on it. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, mostly on Facebook, so you can find me there.
Yeah, social media. And then if you want to do the challenge, 1,000 breath challenge, join our group, and I'll put the link down below. All right.
Yeah, I have a 13 breath challenge on YouTube. 13 breaths is my
name on YouTube.
Channel.
Yeah, got it.
On YouTube. All right. Peace.
All right. Peace. Thank you. Bye.